the snow. Everywhere that Mary went, the little lamb followed her. He followed her to school one day, Mary little lamb followed her to school one day. Mary had a little lamb. Mary had a little lamb. Ba-da-ba-da-da-da.
Come ride a little train going down the track at the junction. Woo, woo, Petticoat Junction. There's old Uncle Joe moving kind of slow at the junction. Woo, woo, Petticoat Junction. I will return.
Message deleted. Press.
Taking pride in Mobile, taking pride in Mobile. Come on, let your spirit show. Taking pride in Mobile. We're growing, shining, winning, so we're taking pride in Mobile. We're old, we're young, we're fast and slow, and we love watching our future grow. Let's tell the world so they will know, and we're taking pride in Mobile. And wherever I may go, I'll tell them I'm from Mobile. We're old, we're young, fast and slow, and we love watching our future grow. Let's tell the world so they will know, and we're taking pride in Mobile. And wherever I may go, I'll tell them I'm from Mobile. Taking pride in Mobile, taking pride in Mobile.
Don't draw conclusions, because if you do, you're going to be wrong. You can draw them if you want and just be wrong. I guess you all don't have any consequences for being wrong.
This is WNTM. 710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
Congestion is developing now on the Bayway. East on I-10 from I-65 to the Eastern Shore, it's a 25-minute drive. On Highway 98 from Daphne to I-10, a 9-minute drive. South on I-65 from 165 to I-10, it's an 11-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Robert Half. At Robert Half, they found that 67% of companies want to increase contract talent. That's why their recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI work quickly to find the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
News Radio 710. The Uncle Henry Show. Weekday afternoons from 5 till 7.
Something ain't right about that. There's a snake in the grass. The truth is not being told, or the whole truth is not being told. Something ain't right. And if something ain't right, that means something is wrong.
Message deleted. Press.
This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. Also streaming live video on YouTube. Look for Uncle Henry Show on YouTube. And I thank you very much. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. I appreciate it. I really do. As each day goes by, the importance of my paycheck is hammered more forcefully into my mind. So thank you for listening to the show. Here we are again, once again, together, trying to figure out what is going on in the world around us, and certainly a lot of very difficult things to try and figure out going on in the world around us. Of course, all the aftermath, people still reacting to the assassination yesterday, the murder of Charlie Kirk, a lot of that going on. Also today being the 24th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. And trying to put that in perspective after all these years. And what do I mean by putting it in perspective? I went a couple of years ago. It was almost 2 years ago. I visited New York. I went to Manhattan for the first time since 2001. I've only been to Manhattan twice in my life. I'm not well traveled. I really don't like to go north of Tuscaloosa, to be candid with you. But the first time I visited Manhattan was in May of 2001. And one of the things I did as a tourist was go up to the top of the World Trade Center. That was the first time I went. The last time and only other time I visited Manhattan was just about 2 years ago. And one of the things I did was go to the 9/11 Memorial, the big museum that they have there. And if it's something you ever decide you want to do, make sure you're going up there for more than one day. It is not what I would consider a fun vacation spot. Now, it may be worth it to you, but it'll bring back a lot of stuff. It'll bring back a lot of really unpleasant stuff from that day. Because a lot of us probably can't forget, but there's some stuff we wish we couldn't remember because of the horrific nature of all that went on that horrible day in the world. And when I talk about putting it in perspective, I went up there, toured the memorial. Is extremely somber, as you might imagine, because there's just so much documented of the terrible human suffering. There was a lot of heroism as well that was documented, people acting heroically. But still, ultimately, what a horrific tragedy it was, all the lost lives. Not only that day, but afterward, as our country went running around the globe into different countries after this. Putting it in perspective, though, it was just a few weeks after I left. We had the Hamas attack in Israel that we're still having ramifications from over there in Gaza right now. But just a few weeks after I left New York, there were pro-Hamas people running all over New York, just running all over the town. I never would have, after going to the museum, I never would have imagined that you would have all these Hamas sympathizers just all running around having giant protests in New York City. It shows you how much can happen in a little over 20 years in one of these situations. And hoping we've learned something after all that has happened. You know, the 24th anniversary of 9/11. And also, I think is it the 12th or 13th anniversary of Benghazi that some people are marking today. And now a lot of Americans, before they were going to remember that tragedy, they had the Charlie Kirk thing yesterday where if you had access to the internet, you got to see somebody lose their life in a horrible, horrible way. And I'm still trying to put yesterday in perspective. I mentioned to you yesterday how I spent a lot of time in the afternoon seeing the immediate reaction, and in 24 hours, I'm still trying to put it all into focus. It is highly clarifying to see that there are a lot of people in the country that not only think it's okay to die for your political beliefs, not for anything you've actually done, just things you've said, with the mantra that words are violence that we've heard for years. So many of the people not only thinking you can be killed for what you say, celebrating it. praising it. It's an awakening moment, certainly. At the very least, just getting that indication of never knew your neighbor thought that, thought your neighbor felt that way. Seeing all of the very responsible professions, people going on TikTok, Facebook, X, and any other social media platforms, seeing people in professional jobs, education, healthcare, government bureaucracy, many of them celebrating someone's death. It just puts things in perspective and clarifies things for us. Going to be rough days ahead, at least in trying to somehow find a way to get on the same page. You've heard people talking about how we thought we were on the same page after 9/11. We spent a few days or a few weeks all on the same page, rallying together. What happened yesterday showed the exact opposite, didn't it? Has today not been the exact opposite, where you see we're not? The gulf is wider than I had imagined. And the animosity toward each other is way wider than I ever imagined. And we're all going to have to figure out how to deal with it one way or the other. Hoping for peaceful ways of dealing with it. Hoping that people are not thinking, well, this is the way to go. Hoping it goes in the other direction. But anyway, I've got people waiting to talk. Callers, I'm sorry I talk too much. I'll get to your phone calls with less of my hot air here at the beginning of the next segment of the Uncle Henry Show. So if you want to talk, just hang on. I'll get to your calls as soon as I can. And also some voicemail messages that have come in about the Kirk murder and also other topics. We do have a mayor's race going on. The Uncle Henry Show continues after we check traffic and weather and words from our sponsors. Here on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
Heavy delays are developing due to a vehicle fire south on I-65 just past St. Stephen's Road. And from 165 to I-10, expect a 15-minute delay. Also on the Bayway, east on I-10 from I-65 to the Eastern Shore, it's a 23-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Aleve. Life doesn't wait, and neither should you.
Those that might be watching on YouTube, thank you for possibly watching on YouTube. I have not yet pulled YouTube up on my beautiful desktop that you can't see in front of me. So I'll check here in just a minute to see if there's anybody looking. I'm going to guess Bama Big Man might be looking, but not sure. I'll double check. But first I've got to, let's see. I wanted to share something on Facebook from my good friends at Mobile Bay Coins and Fine Jewelry. And there I've done that. So now let me check on the YouTube. Yeah, there's a small number of people looking. Bama Big Man, Pat Nelly, Stephen Breland. Beautiful, congratulations on your family, Stephen Breland. Just congratulations on that. God bless all of you. Ben Griffin, Tyler Fleming, Richard Harvey, Timmy Watkins talking about Polly Holiday, the actress that was on the TV show Alice. She played Flo on Alice. She passed away at age 88. Her wonderful catchphrase, "Kiss my grits." Wasn't it wonderful? We had a time in American history where a great number of Americans could be entertained by a woman saying, "Kiss my grits," on a television show. And they would wait for her to say it. They would watch the show every week, waiting to say, is she going to say it? Is she going to say it? And we're different now, aren't we? Unfortunately, in the country. Polly Holiday of the TV show Alice. One more thing on this. Timmy Watkins, I saw the story about her passing away at age 88, something I never realized, the biggest shock was not that she passed away or that she was still alive. The biggest shock to me was that the story I saw said that that the TV show Alice was on for like 9 years. Really? Why would, now no offense to the show, but why would we watch that for 9 years of that? All right, anyway. Let's see. Rob Morris. Hello to you. Larry Morting. Roll Tide to whoever you are. I don't know. All I can do is look at who has commented to tell me who is watching. Tarzan. All right, back on the radio in about 90 seconds. Ben Griffin, you watched Alice last night. Who replaced Flo? Who replaced Flo on Alice? Was it somebody playing the same character, or did they bring in another person with a catchphrase? Now, when they came up with Kiss My Grits, do you think there was a meeting where there was a group of men in a room sitting around a table and they threw out catchphrases until they found one that they thought would be as a wonderful thing like Kiss My Grits? Stephen Breeling, feel free. I've got a couple of callers waiting. Would love to get your call, though.
On game day, pick some up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your grocery store. King's of Wine. There's nothing like it.
Roll Tide. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. It is 5:20. News headlines coming up in 10 minutes. Telephone number 251-479-2723. I talked too much in the first segment of the show. I want to get these callers on the air, so let me answer the phone and thrust these people onto the radio. Hello, caller.
Hey, good evening, Uncle Henry.
Cliff, you are live on the radio.
Uncle Henry.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't 5 hours after all this stuff happened that the left of so evil, they couldn't bring themselves to even pay homage to this man that hadn't done anything to anybody, hadn't done any wrong. And they think that what they're doing is okay. But I heard a story one time about a man that walked around telling the truth and telling them about love and telling them about God, and these people did not want to hear it, and so they killed him, they crucified him. But that made his story and his word even stronger. These people are knowing what they're doing is making things worse for them. More people's eyes are open, Uncle Henry, now. They're being open for sure. You have a blessed evening.
You too. Thank you, Cliff, very much for your phone call. 251-479-2723, the telephone number here on the Uncle Henry Show. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Uncle Henry.
Bert, you are live on the radio.
I'm going to go ahead into what I was going to call about yesterday before I found out about the Charlie Kirk murder.
Okay.
I want to talk about how the media has covered, let's say, two different murders, two different massacres that happened, and then one murder of a single person. 10 years ago, if you recall, a white supremacist went into a black church, pretended to pray with the people in the church. This included grandmothers. and just opened fire on them, killed about 10 of them.
Was that in Texas?
No, it was in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I remember that one, yeah. Horrible.
Dylan Roof. I think he's on death row right now. It's a travesty of justice that he hasn't already been executed.
Right.
But here's what the media coverage was like. He didn't use an assault rifle. He used a pistol. So there was not any kind of focus on the gun. There was no focus on repealing the Second Amendment. The focus was on, and rightly so, the ideology that caused him to commit those murders. So what happened? The Confederate flags had to come down everywhere. Now, fast forward 10 years to the Minnesota church shooting, in which the shooter was just the ultimate in politically correct. He was a trans, and I'm gonna use the pronouns he and him for this guy that was pretending to be a woman, and he had killed Trump on his gun stock.
Right.
So he was obviously had the same ideology as the mainstream media. So the focus has got to be on the gun. We've got to repeal the Second Amendment. And his mother was saying, oh, we got to use the pronouns that he chose. We got to call him by her and she. But now, Uncle Henry, why can't we demand that all the rainbow flags come down in every classroom in this country, and all the trans flags, and focus on the ideology that led this loon to kill innocent children? Why can't those flags come down?
Well, I think I think that those flags, they're going to fight to keep those flags up. That might be a life or death issue for some folks.
Of course they will. And Uncle Henry, one more thing about 9/11. I don't think we were as united as everybody thinks we were. I think that the people that sided with Al-Qaeda just weren't as vocal as they usually are. But Uncle Henry, I remember Jeremiah Wright, Obama's pastor, being very open about it. He was celebrating on 9/11. He was saying, this is America's chickens coming home to roost.
Right. Yeah, I remember that too.
There were a lot of them that felt that way. They just kept kind of quiet right after 9/11. But there was one college professor that was saying, anybody that can blow up the Pentagon has got my vote. But fortunately, he was fired. And by the way, a few of these people that have in the mainstream media, and I think the coach of the Carolina Panthers that was celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk, have been fired. So those are pretty good signs. And by the way, I read something today about they think the suspected shooter of Charlie Kirk is a member of the trans community. I still haven't figured out whether it's a man pretending to be a woman or a woman pretending to be a man. I'm not sure about that one. It looks like a man in the pictures. But they're zeroing in on a person they think is it, because right after the shooting, this person kind of shut down on social media. So hopefully they'll catch that person. And during the days when Gary Gilmore was under death sentence, Utah had the gallows and the firing squad. Bring those back. I would love to see this person swing for this. Oh, and one last murder, Uncle Henry, the media coverage of the stabbing death of that woman.
Up in North Carolina, yes.
Yeah, I don't think there was any media coverage because the victim and the killer did not fit the narrative, did not fit the mainstream media narrative. And there wasn't a gun involved, so they can't call for the repeal of the Second Amendment. But what I'm calling for is that lunatic judge that let the sewer rat loose again and again and again to victimize more people to be removed from office immediately and never be put into any kind of position of power ever again. Ever again. Thank you for taking my call, Uncle Henry.
Bert, thank you very much. A very energized Bert today on the Uncle Henry Show. All right, going to go to break here in a couple of minutes. Hello, caller.
Uncle Henry, good afternoon. Stephen Breland.
Stephen Breland, you are live on the radio.
Uncle, I was really kind of taken aback yesterday with everything that kind of happened with Charlie Kirk, and I've been sitting on it now for 24 hours, just pondering and thinking, and with today being 9/11, I remember where I was at. I was a junior in high school, sitting in the cafeteria, and I just remember that day when we found out about that. I just felt a shift, and there was a shift in our country at that point. And I yesterday I kind of felt that again, that there's been a shift, and I hope that it's a shift to the positive. I would say that in a lot of ways, Charlie Kirk could almost be looked at as our generation's Martin Luther King Jr., and I know that will probably be blasphemy for anybody on the left, because I think even though they disagree with all kind of things that Martin Luther King Jr. stood for when they act today, but I kind of agree with that, because he didn't speak to prove a point. He kind of spoke to defend others. He spoke to defend the unborn, the children being confused about their gender, by their parents or social media. Preventing the mass shootings. He spoke truth.
Hey, Stephen, I'm up on the break. Will you hang on?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, good. Thank you. I want to hear where you think this is going, and let you make your point about what you think Charlie Kirk will now represent. And your phone call, you the listener, would love to hear from you too. Back after the news break.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
Watch for slowing south on I-65. Crews have been on the scene of a vehicle fire just past St. Stephen's Road. We also have an accident on Dauphin Street at I-65. In Pensacola, watch for a crash with injury and road blockage, Beverly Parkway at North W Street. And also we have debris in the center lane north on I-110 near Davis Highway.
This report is sponsored by Robert Half. At Robert Half, they found that 67% of companies want to increase contract talent. That's why their recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI work quickly to find the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
Hello, I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News. Today marks 24 years since the September 11th terror attacks. The University of South Alabama honored the victims with a yearly tradition of running the steps of Hancock Whitney Stadium. The number of steps climbed is equivalent to 2,071 stairs, or 110 stories of the World Trade Center. This year's stair climb was the biggest ever at South, as the school partnered with the Mobile County Sheriff's Office, the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office, Mobile Police, and Mobile Fire Rescue. Classes and campus activities at Alabama State University are canceled after a terroristic threat was directed at the campus, university officials confirmed. The university said in a statement campus police and other law enforcement agencies were, quote, actively clearing all buildings on campus. Students, faculty, and staff who do not live on campus were told to leave once their building was cleared. Later, the university issued an all clear, but students who live on campus have been directed to shelter in place inside residence halls. Multiple historically black colleges and universities in Virginia, Louisiana, Georgia, and Florida also reported campus threats. Police say a Mobile man was booked in Metro Jail this morning, charged with a Wednesday night murder on Persimmon Street. The suspect is James Lee James Jr. Police identified the victim as Carlos Bogan. Police responded to a shooting on Persimmon Street last night. They found a man with a gunshot wound. He was taken to a hospital where he died. Investigators say James shot him during an argument. I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News on this iHeartRadio station.
This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
Fox News, I'm John Saucier. A day after conservative activist Charlie Kirk was murdered while speaking at a Utah university, President Trump told the press he's more worried about the nation rather than his own safety.
We have a radical left group of lunatics out there, just absolute lunatics, and we're going to get that problem solved. I'm only concerned for the country.
The president speaking before leaving the White House to attend a game at Yankee Stadium in New York tonight, marking the 24th anniversary of 9/11. 3 people in the hospital after a school shooting in Evergreen, Colorado yesterday. Jefferson County Sheriff spokesperson Jackie Kelly says the alleged gunman was radicalized by an extremist group.
What we're learning is that, based on some of the information that we're seeing about this suspect, is that he was radicalized by some extremist network.
The shooter, a 16-year-old student at the school, died from self-inflicted wounds. America's listening to Fox News.
Go ahead. All right, YouTube viewers going to be back on the radio in less than 3 minutes. I'm going to let Stephen Breland continue his thoughts. There's another caller waiting as well. Let me check you out. We still have a small number of people looking in. Hello to 68-year-old Chris of West Loxley. Also, no wire hangers. Let me see if there's anything I can tell you. Well, I did see a weird news story that I enjoyed. I'll share with you. An inmate, a prisoner in Arizona, prison inmate in Arizona, was in prison for kidnapping, resisting arrest, and unlawful imprisonment, sentenced to be in prison until 2047. But this guy forged documents while he was in prison. He forged documents that were good enough to get him released 20 years early from prison. He forged documents. He filed them, it showed that a judge signed off on early release, all forgeries, and he got out in June. Now there is a big investigation into figuring out how this happened, how nobody verified it. That's some pretty good forgery, isn't it? If you can do this in a prison, it's either really lackluster record keeping, very lackadaisical record keeping in the bureaucracy, or it's really good forgery. Maybe the CIA or something would hire this guy if he's that good at forging stuff. Also saw the story that if you drink beer, mosquitoes prefer you, that you're considered more attractive to a mosquito if you're a beer drinker. Now, I don't know if I believe that or not, because I've been doing country music radio for a few years now. There are no country songs about that, and that's how I know it might be fake news.
This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. It is 5:35. Got some callers waiting to talk here, and Stephen Breland was on the line. Stephen, you were going to tell us before we went to break what you think or what you hope Charlie Kirk might represent in the future.
Yeah, so, MLK, he used the spoken word to bring change about in our country, change that was needed at the time. And I think that Charlie was the voice of that same reasoning today. He used debate and in conversation to, engage with people. And he told folks that, that if people stop talking, that's when civil war is going to break out. That when different sides no longer come together and no longer, share their differences with one another and talk about those things, that's when bad things are going to happen. And Uncle Henry, I'm convinced that in general, discourse and debate, it doesn't exist anymore. Reasoning and reasonableness, I think it's just gone, and it's on both sides. I think in a lot of ways we're surrounded by extremists on both sides of the aisle, the left and the right, and I feel like this has been happening for a long time. I've been seeing it now for at least probably 10 years now, and I've been saying that this country has got to moderate. We have got to come back to the middle and find common ground, because in nature you cannot exist extremes. It doesn't stay that way. A reckoning is gonna happen, and I hope and pray that we can find a way to come back to some level of sensibility in this country, because this is insanity. The guy was gunned down in cold-blooded murder over his things he says and things he believed. And that's just not okay. We're not some third world banana republic that we live in. This is the United States of America, where we have the freedom of speech and we have the freedom of being able to debate and have conversations, and that should be okay. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to have different beliefs, but you shouldn't be shut down and shut up and killed over a belief. And something has to change in this country. And I just hope that the same way the country did a radical shift after Martin Luther King, I hope that we can find a way to do that again and right some very serious wrongs that's been going on in our country in terms of just the civil discourse.
All right. Stephen Breland, thank you for holding it. Thank you for making the phone call.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You too. There he goes, Stephen Breland, 251-479-2723, the telephone number here on the Uncle Henry Show. And I don't know where we find the common ground. I'll tell you that I saw a few conservative commentators on social media today say that they were planning to try and go to college campuses and start doing what Charlie Kirk did. So, Stephen, maybe for a future call, should they invite some leftists to go with them? And let me go back to the phones. Hello, caller.
Hello, Henry.
Yes, sir. You are live on the radio.
Bama Bush Hog, Rob Morrison, Mobile Pirate Radio here, and I want to tell you something. I agree with Stephen Breland. Everything he said, the man is very well spoken. Charlie Kirk, I got something to say about that too. Now, I have social media going on with my Mobile Pirate Radio podcast, and after posting the sadness of Charlie Kirk's passing, a murder, assassination, I received a bunch of really nasty, ugly comments, in the section below. And so today I made a special announcement telling those folks who didn't think that Charlie Kirk was a good man and cannot condone his assassination to stop following me, stop watching my podcast, go away, leave me alone, go your own way, because y'all cannot talk. Charlie Kirk was all about talking to folks about the differences between us. And these folks prove they cannot talk to you. They want to kill you. So, those folks, just do away without me. Just unfriend me, stop following me, and we'll get along just fine. Now, the main thing that I really called about Uncle Henry is I saw on Facebook today that Mobile has a service called 311.
Yes.
Instead of 911 for medical or emergency purposes, you can call 311 and report all kinds of things. You can ask for a new trash can, an extra trash can if you need it, and they're supposed to send you one. If you have trash that needs to be put out, and it's on trash day, you can call and they'll come collect your trash. Now, the thing that got my attention was they said you can call 311 and report potholes in your community.
Yes.
And the Mobile City News. Well, I thought, whoa. Now, that's crazy because they said not only can you report it, you can track the progress of the work being done on the potholes that you report. And I thought to myself, oh, my God, Uncle Henry's going to have a field day with this. You're going to burn up your phone. You're going to wear them folks out downtown trying to fill up these potholes that you want to get fixed.
Rob Morris, Mobile Pirate Radio, thank you. I appreciate you managing to figure out a way to bring one of my favorite all-time talk show topics and drop it into the middle of this. So Rob, thank you. And again, you heard Rob's call. You heard him talk about people being mean to him on social media. You can go find him on Facebook. Look for Mobile Pirate Radio on Facebook and try to be nice to him, even if you disagree with him. 251-479-2723, the telephone number here. Hello, caller.
Hey, Uncle Henry.
LD, the Mad Trucker.
Who was that guy that just said that we should get into the middle, be more moderate?
Stephen.
Well, can I direct this to Stephen? Stephen, we went to the middle. And when we went to the middle, it got us 9-month abortions. That's what it got us, Stephen. And when we went to the middle, it got us men marrying men, Stephen. And when we went to the middle, it got us abortion on demand, Stephen. And then when we went into the middle, Stephen, it got us drag queens
teaching our children about drag queens. That's what happened when we went in the middle. We're tired of going in the middle. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to the middle. These people are sexual weirdos and deviants. Do you think I'm going to reach across the aisle to somebody who, when I shook their hand, 5 minutes later, I'd want to wash it?
All right, and there he goes. LD, the retired mad trucker, hanging up on himself. And I do appreciate him hanging up on me, because it just always feels awkward if I have to do the hanging up. So to LD, thank you for your call. Hello, caller.
Yeah, I should thank LD as well. Gave me a little voice and what time's left before the break. But regarding Charlie Kirk and his assassin, Henry, of course, everyone wants to reflect back, or at least I do, on biblical. So I read the Bible last night, and it says, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And I read it over and over and over again, and although the passage was apropos prior to how we communicate these days, back 2,000 years ago, I think they do know what they do, which has got me even more perplexed. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. These people know what they're doing. It's intentional. So, although the group of people that put Jesus on a cross maybe had not known what they do because they couldn't communicate like we do today, I believe this is Satan coming up and showing his presence still in the human, unfortunately.
All right, well, Jimmy, anything else?
We got to forgive them anyway. We must forgive them anyway, Henry. Take care.
You too. Thank you, Jimmy the Economist, for your phone call. There is more Uncle Henry Show after the break, coming up here on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Time saver traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
In Pensacola, we've got a crash with road blockage, Beverly Parkway at North W Street. Also, some debris being cleared out of the road in the center lane on I-110 northbound near Brent Avenue. Congestion south on I-65 heading from 165 to I-10. It's a 13-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less.
YouTube viewers, thank you for looking in on YouTube. Going to be back on the radio here in less than 4 minutes, I believe. Let me see what I can tell you about. I did see some really weird things in the news today that have nothing to do with our current horrific state of spiritual war going on in the country. I don't know if you saw this or not. Today was the first I heard of this. The president of Venezuela, Maduro, this week has declared that in Venezuela, Christmas is going to officially begin October 1st. Did you see this? President of Venezuela, Maduro, says that Christmas is going to officially begin in his country October 1st. Now he says he's doing this to promote joy, culture, and economic activity. And he says that he's doing this to defend what he says is the Venezuelan people's right to happiness. So Christmas is going to start October 1st in Venezuela. Now, you heard the reasons: joy, culture, the right to happiness. I think it probably, I don't know for sure because I don't pay attention like I should about what he's up to down there much. I think economic activity probably would be your number one thing on the list if you could try to get people to do just a bunch of Christmas shopping between October and the end of the year? That's what it sounds like to me, that he thinks this will help the economy, just have a long Christmas. Christmas officially beginning October 1st in Venezuela. I wonder if you think this will cause the Hallmark Channel to want to go down there? Maybe a huge market for them. I wonder if there's been a Hallmark movie, Christmas movie set in Venezuela. Now there needs to be. And, what else? There was some other story I wanted to tell you about. There is a new phrase. You've heard of FOMO, the acronym FOMO, fear of missing out. Fear of missing out is FOMO. There's a new one, a new acronym that is the relief of missing out. Relief of missing out. It is, ROMO celebrates the peace and satisfaction that comes from not being involved. ROMO. And I have to admit, I think I've had a lot of ROMO through the years. I think I have. In fact, I heard about 5 years ago, I knew a family that was, they had like 7 kids, 2 adults, and they went to Disney for a week, and they all stayed in an RV the entire week. And it sounded, I just have ROMO that I did not go with them. Relief of missing out. ROMO. I'm going to be back on the radio here in about 30 seconds. And I almost didn't have acceptable generic bumper music.
Out those soft, fluffy, irresistible Kings Hawaiian sliders that make them a winner on game day. Pick some up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your grocery store. Kings Hawaiian. There's nothing like it.
Available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. Now #1 for podcasting. This is News Radio 710 WNTM, an iHeartRadio station.
Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. It's 5:50. News headlines coming up in 10 minutes, and then additional Uncle Henry Show. Going to get to some voicemail. Well, no, actually, there's some news items I want to get to that have nothing to do with the current state of the country. I'm going to get to those news items after the top of the hour. Let me see if I can get to some voicemail here before I'm out of time in this hour of Uncle Henry's Show. I just got a call.
Anna, this here's Bifford. Listen to your radio program live. Can't call in live, Henry. I got to go watch Buford Jr. play football, but I can leave a quick voicemail. Henry, in response to LD's response to Stephen on being in the middle, LD, the mad trucker, hit the nail right on the head. He is exactly right. When we went to the middle, we got all these tranny drag queens reading the kindergartners. You go to the middle with a communist, you lose. These are not old blue dog Dixie Democrats. You know, the Democrat Party of our grandfathers, that those Democrats still loved America. No, Henry, today's Democrat, if you were a Democrat, I'd say if you were a Democrat after Obama was elected, you're a daggum communist. You are a radical communist. There is no going to a middle for a communist. You go to the middle too many times with a communist, you get loaded up on cattle cars and you're daggum on a daggum re-education camp, and We're all behind chain link fence yelling at our sons to avenge us. Wolverines style. I'm going to tell you this, Henry. You cannot go to the middle with dadgum communists, and that's what we have here. Communists kill people who say things they don't like. And that's where we're at. No, you got to stand firm, and we've got to defeat these communists completely. No more going to the middle, Henry. You lose when you go to the middle. There is no compromising with a communist.
All right. Buford, thank you for your voicemail. I'll say this on that. For many, many years, I have tried to discipline myself to be very tolerant, very, very tolerant of people that disagree with me. Try to see them as human beings and not be real judgmental about them. Just be very tolerant of other viewpoints and of other people. Just years of it. Tried to train myself to do it. And so far, it hadn't worked out real well, being tolerant. At least it hadn't for me, really. Because I don't feel like I get the same tolerance from the people that I'm being tolerant of. I could say lots more about that, but I want to try to share just a little bit more of voicemail before I have to go to break.
Hey, Uncle Henry, Snake Trapper. Hey, brother, I just want to let you know I am totally devastated on what happened to Charlie Kirk today. Uncle Henry, I think it's time for the American people to try to win this war. If you're unhappy with what transpired today, I would encourage every human being with a conscience to get out this midterms and vote, because this is the one chance that conservatism and Christianity and can actually win this war. Uncle Henry, man, I'm telling you, I am totally devastated. But yeah, if you disagree with what happened today, and you disagree with the sexual mutilation of kids, and you're just fed up with what's going on, this war can be won without shedding more blood. And the way it can be won is during these midterm elections, everyone get out and vote. Usually there's about a 18 to 20% turnout in the midterms. But, let's not let this assassination of Charlie Kirk be in vain, Uncle Henry. Like I said, let's win this war. We can do it this midterm. We can keep the House and the Senate. And in this last 2 years of President Trump's presidency, we can win this war. And I'd like to say God bless Charlie Kirk's family. My prayers are with them. I'd like to say that that assassin attempted to silence Charlie Kirk, but all he did, Uncle Henry, is he made his voice louder than ever.
All right, hey, with that, out of time. Snake Trapper, thank you for the voicemail. There's more show, other topics coming up after the top of the hour news here on WNTM.
Securing America.
September 11th remains the day America feels anything but secure, as memories of the terrorist attacks 24 years ago remain fresh in most minds. From New York's World Trade Center to the Pentagon.
There were intense fires following the aircraft's impact into the building.
And Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where United Flight 93 crashed.
The only thing you could see was a big gouge in the earth and some broken trees.
The impact of that day remains in our daily lives. It led directly to the creation of the Department of Homeland Security and the TSA, forever changing airport security and travel processes. 9/11 also led to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the latter of which became America's longest, lasting 20 years. Nearly 7,000 military personnel and almost 8,000 U.S. contractors died during those efforts. Kevin Ewing, Fox News.
Hey, YouTubers, thank you for looking. I appreciate you looking at the show on YouTube. I'm going to be back tomorrow, a Friday edition of the show. At the same time, here with you on YouTube and on News Radio 710. Try to have a pleasant evening and a pleasant tomorrow.